guys, welcome back to my channel. We have a quick little nutrition video for you today, and this is just because I like to make these videos whenever I see a recurring trend, and this is just, in my opinion, my experience as a nutrition coach. For some reason recently I've been seeing it more often than not, and especially when I get new clients, I often find that there are two different things that the general population gravitates towards. One is intermittent fasting, and two is cutting out sugars or a sugar restricted diet. With intermittent fasting, I'm not going to do an entire video on IF because it would be super controversial, and there's a lot of other people out there who do videos on intermittent fasting. If you're not sure what it is or you want some studies, Lane Norton actually just recently did a intermittent fasting video where he went over some two most recently published studies that are really fascinating. If you want to see that, I'll put his video in the description box, but I want to kind of break it down for a little bit more of like the beginners, the general, the people who are just looking to either make a change in their life. Maybe you're just starting out on your fitness journey, or you're trying to switch things up because you've hit a plateau. Now, for whatever reason, intermittent fasting is really over marketed, oversaturated. It's hyped. It's like all over Pinterest, all over social media, TikTok, you name it, it's on there. And there's so many different ways that you can intermittent fast. Basically what that means is that you're restricting your calories to a certain time window. There's all different kinds, like I said, of intermittent fasting. The time windows can be different. So because there are so many different ways to perform intermittent fasting, I feel like it's very overwhelming for the general population. And what honestly ends up happening at the end of the day is the reason that they're losing weight, or they think they're losing weight, or they see somebody else who did intermittent fasting lose weight, is because not only are they restricting the time that they're eating, but typically when somebody does that, you're not able to take in the same amount of food as you were before when you were eating, let's say, in a 12-hour window. So if you woke up at 7 o'clock in the morning, you started eating then, and you're eating all the way until, I don't know, 8 or 9 o'clock at night, your range for filling with calories is going to be much bigger than it would be if you were only allowed to eat from 12 to 8. The reason why I personally don't suggest this method, especially for my athlete clients, and honestly even just my regular lifestyle clients, is because it's really unrealistic to think that you're going to be able to stick to it forever. Now, if you've been around on my channel for a while, you know that I'm all about preaching sustainability when it comes to diet and lifestyle. Of course, you're gonna have the people who are like die-hard intermittent fasting people probably in the comments saying it's the best way to lose fat. Again, I refer you to Lane's video because at the end of the study, the people who had the restricted time eating had not any more benefit to reducing body fat than the people who did not, and metabolic risk as well. So do with that information what you will. But at the end of the day, from my experience, the reason why a lot of new clients or people who are not fully understanding intermittent fasting, the reason why they're gravitated towards it is because it's cutting out your calories. The reason why not a lot of people like when I say that is honestly just because it's not fun. It's not like a fad, it's not fancy, it's not special, it's pretty boring, and they really don't want to accept the fact that when you're restricting your time window, you're simply just restricting the amount that you're eating. For the most part. The other alternative, the reason why I don't typically like to suggest intermittent fasting, is because a lot of clients who either have a previous history with binge eating or in just an unhealthy relationship with food in general, I find that during their non-fasting window, they're trying to shovel an ungodly amount of food into their intake. And if you're tracking macros while doing intermittent fasting, this can be extremely difficult. So if you're somebody who loves intermittent fasting because you love the way that it makes you feel and your workouts are great and you love it and you have no problems with it, that's fine. But is it the only way to lose fat, and is it necessary to lose fat? Absolutely not. Do you need to change your diet because you've hit a plateau? No. If you haven't seen my video, it's old I did about hitting a plateau. I will put that up here so you can check it out. But I always encourage people to really evaluate when they think they're hitting a plateau and see if you're genuinely hitting a plateau in your weight loss. Because a lot of times people who have lost a lot of weight and body fat, they think that they've hit a plateau because they're not actively gaining muscle, and there's so many benefits to gaining muscle after you've reached your weight loss goal. If you want to see like a whole video on that, I would love to do one actually, because I love building muscle. Although I did make a truth about building muscle video, which is one of the most popular videos on my channel. And again, lots of great information about increasing your body's basal metabolic rate and just the a million benefits of gaining muscle. But these two, intermittent fasting and cutting out sugar, I'm sure you can guess that I'm going to say the reason why cutting out sugar tends to work for most people. Well, obviously, a lot of super calorically dense foods are also high in sugars. Now, I get the question from clients about whether or not you should cut out natural versus artificial sugars. You already know I got a video. Like every time people ask me questions, I'm like, hold on, I've done a video on this at some point. So if you haven't looked through my educational nutrition videos, check out that playlist. But when it comes to artificial versus natural, one, if you are using MyFitnessPal or any other tracking apps, 9 times out of 10, they're not going to separate the types of sugars. So in my opinion, I think it's silly to track your artificial sugars versus your natural sugars. I think that's just a little bit too much and it's just not really necessary, because similarly to intermittent fasting, when you cut out an entire group of things, in this example sugars, you are also cutting down the amount of calories no matter what way you want to look at it. The only way that that does not work is if you are replacing these sugars with a lot of fats. Hi. And if you are familiar, fats are more calorically dense than protein and carb. Fat has 9 calories per gram, whereas protein and carb have 4. So if you were removing a lot of carbohydrates, a lot of sugars, and replacing it maybe more of like a keto approach with high fat, high protein, not that there's anything inherently wrong with it, but I just urge you to understand the real reason why you are maybe seeing body composition changes, because you're simply cutting out calories. There are definitely a lot of different ways to cut your calories, and like I've said before, there's not one right way over the other. There are so many ways that you can go about this, but if you're just starting, I would definitely encourage you to not put all your eggs in one basket and try to do something like intermittent fasting or keto or paleo or whatever. Instead, I would suggest making small changes throughout your daily life as is, and really just take a look at what your life is like now and how you can make those small changes to then get to where you want to be in the long run. One thing I always tell my clients now, especially people who are just beginning, is think about how long it's taken you to get to where you are right now, and that's how long plus more it will take you to get you to where you want to be. So that's my tip of the day today for intermittent fasting or cutting out sugars. Should you do it? My answer is no. Let me know what you think in the comments. As always, don't forget to give the video a thumbs up and hit that subscribe, and I'll see you in my next one.